Hello, Susie Chocolate from Susie Chocolate Crafts here. I was just about to make a Valentine's card and I thought I'd pop my camera on and start recording. And so this is the lovely embossing folder I'm going to be using. A couple of hearts and some scraps. So they're my red, black and pink scraps there. And this is an A4 sheet of 250 GSM white cardstock that I was going to use to make a 6x6 card base. And this is another piece of A4 that I'm just cutting to size, so I've got a 6x6 piece to put into the embossing folder to make the card front. And so I'm just going to pop that in there and then go over to the die machine and do that. And then, as you can see, all my bits and pieces laid out here. So I'm going to cut one big heart and one small heart out of the different colours of my scraps. They're more fancy scraps. They're not just plain card. As you can see, there's glitter card, shimmer card, mirri card, and that great big chunky glitter card. I love that. It's really, that black is gorgeous. They've got all sorts of colours in when you sort of show them to the light. And so I've cut the hearts, the small and the large, and I've done the embossing. And so I'm now just going to go over top of the hearts and the trellis work at the top there with a dewdrop, a Versamagic dewdrop. So this is a multi-surface chalk ink and it's in Red Magic, and I really love the dewdrops because they're pointed and you can just follow the lines, especially in curves like that, or you can get right into a corner, unlike the little square ones, which I do have a lot of the square cubes, but they're not quite so easy to do that with. So I'm just cutting down the embossed panel to fit the front of my 6x6 card. And so I'm cutting this down to 5.5 by 5.5, so that I've got 1/4 inch each side. So I'm cutting it right to the edge of the embossed detail so that there's no plain edges. I didn't want to have a matte layer underneath it because it's a scrap card and I wanted it to be really quick. And so, as you can see, it's all cut there now to size. And I'm just showing you there all of my hearts and the different colours that I've and how I've mixed them up. And so I'm now just going to go around the edge with the Red Magic, and I start off by going around quite light because you never quite know how much is going to come out of your pad, whether it's still juicy or whether it's drying up. And then I just keep going round until it's so dark, and as you can see now it really stands off of the white card base, and so you don't need a layer underneath. And I'm just going to pop some Kalal all-purpose glue on the back of the card panel. I am putting a lot on there because of the embossed detail, and I want to make sure that it, there's enough in there to actually make it stick really well. I like to make sure my cards are not going to, the fronts are going to peel off my cards in a short period of time, or if the recipient keeps it, you don't want it to fall apart in a long time either. So I've just fitted that on there nicely with a equal gap all the way around, and just pushing it into place. And I'm not using my hands here because I didn't want to blur the red ink if it was still a little bit damp. And then I've changed my tissue around and I'm giving it a good rub from inside now, just to make sure it has got good adherence. This is some double-sided foam tape that I'm going to use. This is 18 mils wide and 3 mil thick. And so it's the hearts are going to, the big hearts are going to stand up or off of the card. This really chunky glitter card is beautiful, and it does actually cut well with the die through the card part. It doesn't always cut through the chunky glitter bit because it's almost thick like a sequin, and so you'll see that I'm just trimming off of the edges of some of that as we go through this stage. So I'm just having a fiddle about, check, putting them on, see where I want to have the different colours. And so I've got a black chunky glitter heart with a red chunky glitter small heart in the centre. And then I've got a sort of a pinky rose goldy colour mirri card that's on the right, and that's got a black chunky glitter heart in the centre. The light with glitter and mirri and shimmer and that, it doesn't always show the right colour. So I just thought I'd run through what colours they actually are. So there's a red chunky glitter, and that's got a black plain card heart in the centre of that one there. It is a stitched die actually, and you can see the stitching on the plain and the mirri, but obviously it's very difficult to see on the chunky glitter card. The dies are from Creative. They're stitched nestables from Crafty. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the set, and they're really quite nice. And so I've had a jiggle about, and this is where I've decided to leave the hearts. And so I'm now sticking the small heart onto the large heart, and I'm using some Collal Strass glue, which is I think it's made specially for rhinestones and gems and things like that, but it's got a really good adherence and it does it really quick. And so because of the chunky glitter, I didn't know if ordinary glue would grab it well enough, being shiny, and so that's what I've used, and it did stick really well. So at the bottom and the bottom line, we've got a red plain card, just a dull red card with a black mirri heart in the centre, and then in the centre, the one I'm now doing is black chunky heart. Oh, I see what I've done. I've moved the middle one down, haven't I? I've had a bit of a swizzle around. Yes, so at the bottom is what was at the top. So there is at the very top is a black plain one with a mirri pink goldy colour in the centre. And so once they're all stuck together, and I'm happy where I'm putting them, I'm now just going to put some foam tape on the back. So I've cut a little square, and then I've chopped the bottom corners off so that they can't be seen as the where the heart goes to a point, so they can't be seen from the side because that doesn't look very nice. So yeah, I've just chopped them off, and so we're just going to put a piece of tape onto each of them. Scraps cards are so quick and easy to make. Do you make lots of scraps cards? Do let me know. See, I've got those few pieces on my right, and I've cut, I've just cut 6 large hearts, 6 small hearts, and embossed a sheet of a little bit of card, 6x6 card, and we're off. We are, that's all you need to make your card. And making it out of glitter or shimmer card, mirri card, or a mix. I like a mix like I've chosen. Mix it up. It makes it look that little bit extra special rather than just an ordinary plain dull card. It's giving it that extra little bit of bling. So I've just centralised the first one, just so that I know that I'm getting them equal, and equal gap between the two hearts as well as from the side. And you'll see in a second that I'm just going to line them up with my T rule, just to make sure that they are all at the same length. And it wasn't a bad guess actually. So I'm just pressing them down there now, so that I've, with my little ruler, quite like doing that if there's a number of things in a row to be pressed down. Excuse me. And here we are, sticking the top row on. So pop that one in the middle. And I'm just making sure that's... My eyeball wasn't a bad guess actually. I think it was just about a millimetre out, which nobody would have ever known, but I thought I would just check them just to make sure. And so with this one, I've just laid my T-rule there so that I can line up the tops of the hearts with that. And again, I'm using the Kalal strass to stick this to the card, so that it gets a good bite onto that embossed trellis work at the top there. And I'm just showing you here the embossing folder, which was an apple blossom one, and it was called Lattice Hearts. And this is the stamps that I'm now going to pop inside, which are Simply Made Crafts by Helen Griffin, and they were called Love and Laughter. And I'm also using a card insert, so I thought Valentine's card, I'll make it a little bit more special. It may be made with scraps, but it doesn't stop us making it special. And so they are card inserts from Dove Craft, 120 GSM, and they actually got quite a nice little texture on it. It was a little bit of like a grain you could see in that paper, and they've got a pretty scalped edge, so I thought that they were quite nice. So I've chosen a stamp which is two little birds with a heart, and the words are Love Grows Here, which I've just popped at the top of the heart. So I'm going to stamping that in there in my platform. If you haven't got a stamping platform, when you can save up enough money, they are really good things to have. If you don't get the first stamp right, you've never messed anything up, because you can always go back and do another one. You'll see that I'm going to do two here. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black, which is for which I use for all my sentiments, because it is really it is the best ink that I've found to do fine words and to make sure you get all the detail that you want. And so I've just done 2 lots of stamping there. It didn't dry first off on the stamp. I did have to wait for probably a minute or so for the stamp on the insert to dry, but I pop a little bit of kitchen roll in here just to make sure that I'm not going to get a cross ink crossed over onto the other side. And here we are, we're just going to stick the insert into the actual card. And so I've used, I think it's about a 1/4 inch double-sided sticky tape, and I'm just going to line it up equals in centre, so equal gaps at either side, and then just close the card onto the insert. It's always best to close the card onto the insert, so you make sure that you can get it in the right place, rather than trying to stick the insert onto the card, because that doesn't always work. I learnt my lesson with that. And so I'm just doing the other side. You don't have to do both sides if you don't want to. A lot of people just do the back of the insert or the front of the insert, but I like to do both of mine. And there we are. That's it done. So thank you very much for spending some time with me today. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and it will give you a little inspiration in making your Valentine's cards. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of my tutorials and videos, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.